Hello, I'm Giuseppe Attanasio, and I'm a third-year PhD student at Politecnico di Torino, supervised by Elena Baralis. And today I'm very pleased to introduce my works on dissecting deep language models from the explainability and bias perspective. So just to get us on the same page, these are two modern language models. So on the left you have BERT, on the right you have the GPT family. They are basically neural networks with stacked transformers, deep neural networks with transformers. So what is the problem here? Today we are experiencing what I call a compelling trend, because the more you increase the size of the model, the better is your performance. So this is good in a way, of course, but it brings also many downsides. One of them is, for example, that these models become unintelligible by design, because here we're talking about billion parameters models. And also that these models are known to encode what we call unintended bias, and which can become problematic whenever you apply these models in high stakes applications, for example. And there are also other problems which are not part of my research, like the environmental cost to train these models and the actual fact that only a few can actually train these models as of now. So focusing on the bias, so we as researchers pre-train data, collect pre-training data, and then we pre-train these models, and then we collect some other fine-tuning domain-specific data. We annotate this new data, and then we fine-tune this model on the specific domain. So this is a very long pipeline, and anything can go wrong in either of these steps. So here we are focusing on the bias that surges against minorities in these models, for example, gender, religion, and physical needs. So whenever you sample data about these categories, you either downsample it or you sample with association bias. So for example, all the examples that you have sampled belong to only one specific class, and you don't want it to be in this way. So in this first work, we focused on the misogyny identification in Italian tweets. So we proposed a multi-agent classification approach, and the task here is to identify whether a tweet is misogynist or not. We had good results, but the most important part of this project is that no matter the unbiasing techniques that we used, the model still had many sources of bias driving false positives, for example, bias on part of the body, which is mentioned in the tweet, or self-mocking references, which are not quite understood by the model. And of course, for example, the targeted gender. So if you have the sentence, I want to slap Sari, this is aggressive, but it's not misogynist in a way because the target gender is male. So, and also there is bias related to the misogynist speech, but reported misogynist speech. So the tweet is not misogynist because the misogynist content is only reported. So based on the results, we have seen we are in the middle of proposing a mitigation approach because we have understood that these models become oversensitive to the presence of certain words. In fact, current state-of-the-art mitigation approaches based their strategy on building identity terms list. So you build up a list of terms that you want to pay attention to, and you use this list to regularize the modeling at training time. However, these lists have some shortcomings. For example, you may neglect some terms, or for example, the list that you build for one specific domain cannot be directly applied to another domain. So here we proposed a novel mitigation technique, which is not based on identity terms list, is also pluggable to any attention-based model, which is any modern language model, and also has some explainability flavor because given a model, given a data set on which the model is trained on, it extracts for you the most problematic words. So this is a very, very short overview of my research activities. If I thank you for the attention, and if you are interested, please go ahead and drop me an email, write me on Twitter, or visit my personal webpage. Thanks, bye.